Yeah? Right?
Yes.
Deal?
Boing.
Welcome to the Acquia podcast, Drupal technology, community, and business.
Welcome to the Acquia podcast, Drupal technology, community, and business.
There's a module for that?
Of course there is.
We have managed to get 4 of us online in the 3 time zones that I think are the furthest apart from each other on the globe, from our perspective. So I'm Jam. This is a sort of video live extension of the Acquia podcast where I talk with people every week about Drupal, technology, community, and business. I was chatting with Lee Rowlands, way far away from me in Australia recently. Lee wrote a blog post called Drupal 8 Won't Kill Your Kittens, and I thought that would be a great topic for the conversation. And Lee invited along Tim Plunkett in San Francisco and Daniel Wehner. Chris Mulholland asks, is theming going to get easier with Drupal 8? And so potentially yes, because the theming is done with this new templating language called Twig, which you can write in a very human, understandable form. And then it gets compiled, so as Daniel said, it probably runs faster. And it brings a large community with it because it's what the Symfony community uses, so it's really extensively tested and extremely well documented.
And more than Symfony. More people use it than just Symfony.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
That's where right, but it's also maintained by Sensio Labs somehow, who are the Symfony people. So, and last point, and then we'll just move right along. It's a lot more secure because you can't put PHP into the theming layer, and Twig absolutely cannot touch your database. Therefore, a lot of security issues around poorly or maliciously written themes end up disappearing. So theming for Drupal 8 is looking really exciting and interesting. Oh, and because Twig is a language written to express visual stuff, and PHP never was. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. Tess Flynn asks, where's the best place to look for code examples for module developers? Pants module, example module, something in core. She says docs are already stale and blog posts are moldy. So I'll kick that off, and then you guys maybe can help me out. I believe that it is just a tad slightly too early to really be upgrading modules yet. I was talking with Rick de Boer in Prague. He's also in Australia, and he's a really big advocate for keeping the contrib space up to date with core. Helping people to upgrade as soon as possible. Yes, it's time to be gathering our strength to upgrade our modules, but I think core needs to get the tiniest bit more stable. And a shameless pitch here, I recorded a podcast with Rick, and I'm going to be talking with Susan Rust and Carl Schreier, and they're running a thing called Top Shelf Modules. The idea there is to get sort of guarantees around module quality and sustainable, sustainability for the project by supporting module developers and by talking about exactly this kind of stuff. So my best bet of all is that I should ask this question to those 3 people again when I speak with them. Do you guys have anything to say about this? Do you know where we could find good information about module developer stuff?
The pants and examples are in progress. I think the blog posts right now, while they're very helpful for a couple of days, get insanely out of date, and it's like a full-time job to keep those up to date, and it's worse because it's a blog post. It's just not on GitHub or anything.
Yeah.
And just the other day, someone posted a blog post on the Friday of DrupalCon during the code sprint, and it was already 3 weeks out of date, and people were trying to use it to upgrade their stuff, and it just wasn't working. I think the biggest thing we need now, it's not really time. If you want to port your module, you're doing it for core, not for contrib, because you're helping us find inconsistencies and bugs and stuff, you're going to have to update it a couple more times.
Yeah.
So if you want to participate like that, that'd be really awesome. But I think one of the things we need to do is come up with, if you want to do something like this module is a really great example. So for example, if you want to use plugins that have dynamic configuration, the action module is really great. If you want to learn how to just vanilla plugins, get them up and running as quickly as possible, then Tor module is really great. And things like that, different topics, point them to different places until the examples module is really, really up to scratch.
Okay. Do you know if there's a central?
Nope.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I think
I
IRC would be the best resource for that.
Right.
And the problem is that people ask a question and someone answers it, and then that person gains that knowledge, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem. I'll answer questions till I die, but I'm not. Every time I do it, I'm doing it over again.
Right. So the best answer of all is that Core needs to get just a little bit further down the road and stable enough for people to do the examples, the more or less definitive version of the example module, and then we can really start upping the tempo in the contrib space. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I know I'm personally working on finishing deleting hook menu, and until that's completely done,
Kill it with fire.
It's the main entry point to modules, so that's a big problem.
Okay.
So until stuff like that is settled, then yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
there's a Drupal 8 stack exchange tag, Drupal answers tag as well. The stuff there is curated at least, so that should be kept up to date, and it's recorded for. It's the same Q&A as IRC, but it's actually recorded.
okay.
Yeah, so if someone really wants to port a module to Drupal 8 now, I think I would recommend them to port the module and just figure out whether Drupal 8 has all the features they need. And if there's some missing feature, they should report it, but not try to waste a lot of time on actual porting all the small things.
All right, so 1 minute each. What's the most compelling feature of Drupal 8 for you?
Configuration management. It fixes what Drupal 7 is a completely unsolved problem. It makes it a solved problem, and it just works.
Right, and configuration management is so awesome. Configuration is taken out of the database and put into files, which means that we can version control our configurations and export and import them, and simply with completely known version control and other very well understood technologies. Yay, CMI. Lee, most compelling feature of Drupal 8?
Yeah, I'm going to come back to the entity and field API improvements. That would make them. And the CMI will make a huge difference, but I can't just repeat what Tim said. So
okay, so
no, I don't feel that.
The fact that it's a unified system now, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And what's a real world? Why is that so great?
We do a lot of custom modules for our clients. A lot of working with Drupal is taming it to do exactly what the client requests are, and having to work with first-class entity objects rather than standard class is a huge win.
Okay, so that's a real win for developers too.
Yeah.
Okay, and Daniel?
My favorite thing beside configuration management is the multilingual support in Drupal 8, because you can install Drupal without downloading anything extra in whatever language you want. You can configure your site with multiple languages without any additional module. You can build your Drupal site in Drupal 8 now, even on Spanish, French, and whatever. This will be a huge thing in Europe.
Right, and for the first time ever, I think you can run a Drupal site without English being activated as a language somewhere. And translation updates. Oh, I think this is huge too. Translation updates can be implemented through the admin UI, so you don't have to have server access to add and update translations from the Drupal translation server. I think that's really huge too.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. If you install Drupal 8 now, and you choose another language, it automatically pulls in the latest translations of the language you have chosen, and then it will display the installer in the language you selected.
Yes. Thank you so very much for taking the time to talk with me, and I will see you sometime soon, I hope. Thanks. Good night, guys. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.